My name is Leah Gold, and I'm an artist and educator working here in Toronto. I make all kinds of things: drawings, prints, ceramics, murals. Back in March of 2020, when we were first stuck at home, I started making paper flowers to brighten up our apartment. I really love those first few weeks of spring when the blooms are starting to appear everywhere and it feels kind of fresh and hopeful all of a sudden. So I hope that this project can bring a little bit of that feeling into your home as well. These flowers are really fun to make. They're very simple, but if you get into it, you can make them as intricate as you like. When you're done, you can bind them together into a bouquet to give to someone you love, or just leave them as they are. And maybe if I'm making my flowers over here and you're making your flowers out there, it's just a little bit like we're working on one giant art project together. So are you ready? Let's do it. To make your paper flowers, you're going to need a piece of cardboard. I cut this one from an old cereal box. Some tissue paper. You'll need at least 4 pieces of tissue paper for each flower, measuring at least 20 centimeters on either side, a brush, and a set of watercolor paints, scissors, a roll of masking tape, a pencil, and some twist ties. And don't forget the water for your watercolor paints. You'll also need something to trace a circle on your tissue paper that's around 18 or 19 centimeters across. So I'm going to be using this Tupperware container. The first thing you're going to do is trace a circle on your tissue paper. So I like to work with a stack of 4 pieces of tissue paper so that I don't have to repeat this step on every page. Once I have my circle drawn on there, I'm going to just tape the tissue paper together at the edges so it doesn't move while I'm cutting out my different layers. So in my circle that I've traced, I'm going to draw a 5-petal flower shape. You can either draw it with rounded petals like this, or you can draw it with pointed petals like this. And if you go with rounded petals, you'll end up with a rounded flower, like so. And if you go with pointed petals, your flower is going to be more pointed. So once I've chosen my shape, I'm just going to sketch it into the center of this circle. And this definitely does not have to be perfect, but I do want it to be vaguely flower-like with 5 petals. I'm going to cut out that flower shape that I traced, and I've taped my tissue paper together so it's easy for me to cut out all 4 pieces of tissue paper at once. Ta-da! There we go. So I now have 4 flower shapes to work with. Now that I have my 4 flower shapes, I can think about adding in my color. This is really the fun part. So if you'd like, you can take a little walk around your neighborhood and get some inspiration from what flowers might be starting to appear. If it's early in spring, you might see daffodils, irises, the magnolia trees might start going soon, crocuses. Just see what you can find. I think I'll work mostly with this really nice scarlety red color here, and with my yellow as well. If you take a close look at the petals of flowers, you'll find there's often sort of a gradation happening where they'll be darker in the center or darker at the edges, but you'll see the colors shift and change from the middle out to the edge of the flowers. So I'm gonna put my really intense crimson-y color right in the center here and kind of brush it out towards the edges of the petals. Of these 4 flower shapes that I have, I'm going to paint 3 of them like flower petals, and I'm going to use the 4th for leaves, so I'll leave that one and paint it green at the end. Part of the beauty of these flowers is that the impression of all of the overlapping petals will give it this beautiful dimension and complexity, so you don't have to make each petal perfect. They're all going to work together to make this really harmonious whole. And I'm going to fade the pink into the yellow by just overlapping it. Get some nice orange colors here. So now that I've got a layer of color on my petals, I'm going to paint my leaf layer. any flower that you see, if you examine it closely, will probably have some patterning and some variation in its petals beyond just a solid color. So I'm going to take a contrasting color. It's actually that same red color that I was using before, but I'm going to use it quite a lot darker so that you can see it against the other colors. And I'm going to start adding some fine lines and some markings to my petals. So I try to change the pressure on my brush so I get some thicker parts of the line and some thinner parts of the line, and I sort of stagger the lines so they don't all end at the same point. The center of the petal shapes is going to be kind of hidden once we've bound them together into the flower. So you don't need to concern yourself with what's happening right in the middle. It's not going to be visible in the final product. So once my petal shapes are dry, after about 5 or 10 minutes, you should be able to lift them very gently off the cardboard. To assemble our flowers, we're going to take those 3 petal shapes and just arrange them on top of one another. I want to try to alternate the petals so that you can see the different shapes peeking through. And then we'll put those 3 on top of our leaf shape. Okay, and here is the tricky part. We're going to take these flat paper shapes and turn them into a flower. I'm going to get myself a couple strips of masking tape. I'm also going to get my twist tie handy. This will help make the stem of my flower flexible so that I can attach it to other flowers if I want to make an arrangement at the end. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to press down on the center of this petal arrangement that I've made. My other hand, I'm going to pick up the flowers from underneath and squeeze everything together around the pencil. You can see the bottom of the pencil pressing through there. I'm just going to kind of squeeze and press everything together until it feels like it's coming together as one piece. You may have to twist it a little at the bottom. It's not going to hold together on its own, but it should have the feeling that it's becoming one sort of sturdy flower-like shape. Once I feel like I've got everything pressed into shape around the pencil, I'm going to pull my pencil out and just hold that little stem nubbin with my finger to get my piece of tape. What I want to do with my tape is just wrap around this little nubbin that's sticking out on a diagonal to start to form a stem shape. Then I'm going to take my twist tie and I just want to affix it to the stem that I've just made. So I've got my flower shape here at the top. It's already looking pretty cool, but this is the part where you get to kind of style your flower. So just start pulling at the petals and the leaf shapes until you get an arrangement that you're happy with. That's pretty. So to make your bouquet of flowers, you can just repeat this process a few times until you have a variety of flowers that you like. These are both made with that round petal shape. Here's one that I made with that more pointed petal shape. So it's just the exact same petal shape but ending in a point instead of a rounded edge. And you can arrange them into a little bouquet. You can find yourself a small cup or pot to display them in. Just bend the stems of the flowers so that they fit in the depth of your chosen vessel. Now your flowers are ready to display. And I love the variety of colors here, seeing those contrasting colors play off of each other. Look at these awesome flowers! Thank you so much for following along with me, and I hope you also get a chance to slow down and appreciate some of those beautiful spring blooms that are appearing in our streets and neighborhoods right now. I would love to see your work, so please share a photo and tag me and CBC Arts as well. I can't wait to see what you make.